Welcome to the Veterinary Marketing Podcast, where it's all about helping your veterinary practice attract, engage, and retain clients. Broadcasting a new podcast every Monday from sunny Southern California, here's your host, Brandon Bashirs.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode number 142 of the Veterinary Marketing Podcast. I want to say thanks so much for taking the time to listen today. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today's episode is going to be all about ads. We're going to talk about how much you should set for budgets on your ads. We'll talk about how much testing you should do. We'll talk about when you should give up your ads, and also how to troubleshoot and find out how to make your ads run better. All right, so before we begin, I want to mention a few things. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe in iTunes or Google Play. And if you haven't joined the Facebook group, the Veterinary Marketing Nerds, you should go over to facebook.com/groups/the Veterinary Marketing Nerds. That's a great group. There's a lot of collaboration, a lot of really smart people. You can ask questions, get help. Whatever it is you're looking for, if you need help digital marketing, that's the place to go. I'd also like to mention this episode is being sponsored by usedvetequipment.com. Head on over to usedvetequipment.com. It's a website by Brad Haven. It's been on the internet for 5 years now. And what usedvetequipment.com does is it brings buyers and sellers together. So do you have any used equipment in your storage room that you're looking to sell? Are you looking to save money by buying used? Everything from cages and kennels, x-rays, ultrasounds, surgery and laser equipment, lab equipment from IDEX or Baxis, tables, tubs, sinks, and all kinds of miscellaneous items. If you're looking to buy or sell, check out usedvetequipment.com. It's basically like the eBay for vets. The website works great. Brad set it up so that both sides are protected. Everybody gets what they are expecting, and everyone is protected. So check it out. You can go to usedvetequipment.com, check for testimonials, and if you go over there, be sure to say hi to Brad, the owner of the site. Let him know that you heard about it on the podcast. Thank you for supporting the podcast and the sponsors of the podcast. All right, so let's get into today's episode. Today we are talking all about ads. So ads. Should you be running ads for your practice? I think absolutely yes. For some reason, the veterinary industry is one of the only industries where people are not running ads for their $1 million revenue business. It's because, to some extent, a veterinarian is a utility, right? You need to have a veterinarian, and so by default, you're going to go out and search for them, but that's typically only when you have sick pets or things. But it's amazing. If you looked at any other business that was generating similar amounts of revenue, the amount of advertising that they'd be doing would be insane. So that being said, there's a bunch of opportunity for veterinary practices to get out there, to start running ads, to get more clients. If you're into getting more clients, I think that a lot of the consensus right now is that everybody's really short-staffed, everybody's busy, everything's going great, we don't need to start running ads. But I think that it would be wise to at least set things up when times are good instead of when times get slow. So there's been a lot of talk about recession and things like that, and I don't want to use any kind of scare tactics, but if you look, the stock market's been down a long time, the housing market's starting to slow down, signs are looking like we might be hitting a correction sometime soon. And wouldn't it be great if you already had traffic systems in place where you could continue to drive clients to your practice, instead of being set up where, oh my goodness, it's been 3 months and we haven't had a new client here. Something's really, really bad. We need to fix this. That's the point where it's too late. Trying to figure it out once the problem has already happened, it makes a lot more sense to go and just do little tests. That's one thing. You don't need to have huge budgets to run effective tests. And so we'll talk about that specifically. What should your budgets be? And that's actually probably a good place to start. So what should your budgets be? I think that the average veterinary practice should be running ads on Facebook and on Google AdWords. I think Facebook is a great place to stay in front of your clients, to do retention marketing, to do some, to small extent, new client acquisition marketing. I do think that it is an effective way. If you only want to be all in on Facebook, I think that you could do that effectively. It does take work. And it does take content creation and things like that, which I think every practice should be doing. But if you're a practice that you're trying to find something that's really practical, you don't do much content creation, then I'll talk to you about today one strategy that I think will be pretty good in general. So I think, though, that every practice should be advertising on Facebook and also on Google AdWords. Facebook, and when I say Facebook, I also mean Instagram, because Instagram and Facebook are the same ad platform. Okay, so for Facebook budgets, I would say a minimum for every veterinary practice, you should be doing on Facebook at least $5 per day. And that doesn't sound like a lot. It might sound like a lot to some people, which is $150 a month. And that $5 per day content budget should be going towards basically promoting content that you create, the videos, the pictures, all the cute stuff to a group of people in a direct radius around your practice. And so with this, whoever your target market is, you want to be creating content that your target market is going to identify with. And this will create what I call a segmentation audience. And from this segmentation audience, then you can remarket to these people offers. And so ideally what I'd like to see is $5 on awareness. And that's stuff that's going to get likes and shares and comments and things that help to give your practice social proof. It helps to engage people. It helps to stay in front of your current clients, which is all really good and important stuff. But then I would also like to see offers created that you're going to be marketing to people in your area. So having them like or share or comment is great, but having them come in is what the goal is. And so they need a reason to come in. Now, Facebook is very different from Google AdWords. Facebook is a contextual marketplace, meaning that the ads there are not intent-based. You can't find somebody who's searching for something. They are display ads, which is really weird to think about, but when you actually take a second and think about what a Facebook ad is, it's a display ad. And they just have amazing targeting, because Google also has display ads. If you ever go to like CNN.com, for example, you could see banner ads. And typically banner ads are not very good performers, especially when you're doing contextual targeting, meaning you're targeting people based on demographics and things like that. It's hard to get people to take action. What Facebook has done, though, is it's given us a great contextual ad format with a headline and a good call to action and things. But if somebody's hanging out on Facebook, they need to have a reason to come in. And so if you're a practice that you do not want to be doing any kind of discounts, if you don't want to be giving away anything free, which I would suggest against doing, right? So I think that you should be giving people a reason to come in. They have to have a reason to try you for the first time. Just think about anything that you are using in your own life. If you have something that you're skeptical about, if somebody's trying to sell you new technology, if you're trying to use a new product or service for the first time, getting a trial helps you to take that first step. It also gives you a logical justification for making an emotional decision. And that's a very important step. So what is going to be the justification to get them to come in? The way that I like to frame this a lot is if they come into the practice, you say, hey, let us earn your business. People respect that when you say, I want to earn your business for life. I want to show you how good of a job that we're going to do. And it makes sense. People say, yeah, that makes sense. If they do a great job, I will give them my business, right? So they're earning it versus them just giving it for no reason. So when you create offers on Facebook, it needs to be opportunity-based. It needs to be a reason that's compelling, something that they actually want, something that's actually valuable. And hopefully that makes sense. On Google Ads, though, we have a different situation here. They do have display ads. They do have YouTube ads. They do have all of these awesome ad products, but they also have people that are doing search on, local search. They're doing search on maps. They're doing search in Google. They're talking to their Google device. All kinds of cool things are happening here. But when people are actually out searching for you, what they want is a solution. They don't want a deal. They're not browsing Google just for fun to be researching new vets. They have a reason and they want to find the right provider. So that being the case, you don't have to do the same kind of opportunity. You don't need to offer that free exam. It would be great if you did. That would definitely help you to stand out from the other competition in the area, but it's not as necessary. Things like social proof matter more, reviews matter more, relevance, convenience, price. Those are the kind of things that matter. Okay? And I know that there's a lot more to that, but we're going to just be talking about ads here today. So AdWords is the platform, and actually they've rolled all of their ad products into Google Ads, is what they've called them. And the reason for that is that they've been adding a bunch of cool features into email and a bunch of cool features into YouTube and all these other placements that are really interesting within apps and all kinds of cool stuff. So they've been really upping their game and their ad product to try and keep up with Facebook, which is awesome. But the thing that is valuable about Google Ads is you have the intent, and you can find people that have bottom of funnel intent. So you have 3 stages of the funnel. You have people that are you have people that don't know about you yet. You have people that know about you and are evaluating you. And then you have people that are customers and return customers. So typically at these different stages of the funnel, there's different activities happening. And when you can target people who are in the buying mode, where they want to come into a vet practice, maybe they have a sick pet, maybe they need a spay, maybe they need a neuter, maybe they need vaccines, maybe they just moved here, who knows what the reason is. We're going to target people that are searching specific terms with the intent that they need to come in. Versus, a lot of times people could be searching for activities to do with my dog in my town, for example. And although you're still going to have a dog owner, the intent is not the same there. So we're looking for transactional intent and even brand intent. So if somebody is searching for your veterinary practice name, we want to make sure that we're popping up at the top every time. If you have competitors who are bidding on your practice's name as a keyword, which is very possible, because especially if you have the name veterinary in your animal hospital or animal hospital in the name of your practice, then what happens a lot of times is when people set up Google AdWords, they just set up broad matches. So that anything that is remotely related, they're going to show up. And so that being the case, you could be outbid. And I know of this happening specifically, a practice in a town, that the name of the practice is the town. I'm not going to say it, but it's the name of the town, veterinary hospital. And their competitor is the name of the town and some like a variation of that. And so when people search for the name of the town, they are getting their competitors' Google Ads at the top, and they're clicking on it thinking that they're booking an appointment with their practice when they're actually booking an appointment with their competitor's practice. And they know this because the clients are coming in on a regular basis saying, "Hey, I'm here for my appointment." And the front desk people are like, "What appointment? We haven't heard anything about this." And they're like, "Well, I called," and turns out they've set an appointment with the competitor's practice, right? And just lucky enough that they were so confused that they came into their practice that they didn't actually lose the client. But you can see where this is a problem. So those are called brand searches. We have transactional searches where people are looking to buy, like emergency vet near me, veterinarian open, things like that. Those are people trying to buy. So that being said, this search volume is very, very valuable. And, the difference between Facebook and Google is just intent. You have the intent behind it. Now, Facebook has been in the past historically extremely cheap, where you can get, since it's a new platform, right? There's a lot of attention there. There's a lot of people hanging out there, but there wasn't so many advertisers. Now, as more advertisers flock here, it gets more competitive, and as a result, the prices go up. So that being the case, a lot of times the cost per acquisition of new clients on Facebook was a lot lower, but it is increasing over time. It's only going to get more and more expensive. So you have to say, you know what, we don't have an endless budget. Where should we be focusing our new client marketing? Should we be focusing on Facebook, where it's just kind of opportunity marketing? And I will tell you that even if you do have a good funnel set up, the people that are on Facebook that are coming, they're a lot more flaky just because they don't have that need. They don't have the intent. It was a good opportunity for them. And that makes sense. There are some things that you can do, though, to increase that. I'm just talking about new clients right now. And so you might say, you know what, I only want to be focusing on people in the veterinary practice that are actually searching out for veterinary services. And the place to do that is AdWords. And I think that that's perfectly fine, and it's great. So I do think, though, that Facebook has a huge place in marketing to your most valuable people, which is your retention and your reactivation. So you're making sure to stay in front of current clients and making sure that they continue to purchase from you, that they continue to come into the practice, make appointments, and all of that stuff. So in my opinion, kind of the good way to go, especially if you're a lean hospital, you have a smaller budget, is to focus on AdWords for client acquisition and Facebook and Instagram for branding. And that's not to say that you won't get clients on Facebook or Instagram. But and if you're doing things, you'll get referrals, you'll get all of the great stuff that comes along with being active on social and getting your content out there and actually paying for your clients to see it. There's going to be a return on that. It just is very different to using Facebook as a acquisition method, just because now within AdWords, we can get clicks pretty consistently for between 60 cents and $1.20. And that's actually very similar to Facebook's clicks. And if you just look at the difference in intent, it's way more valuable to have AdWords traffic. So that's one thing. So what should you set as your budget? Now, one thing that I like to do with my budgets on AdWords, if I have a specific keyword that I'm targeting, I like to try and go for 20 times that keyword click price per day. And I'll just do this on specific phrase match campaigns. So there's different kinds of matches that you can do inside of AdWords. You have broad match. So like if you put the word veterinarian in there, a broad match will do anything related to veterinarian. So how do you become a veterinarian? You show up in that. How much does a veterinarian make a year? You show up in that. So that's not the best use. So phrase match, if you say veterinarian near me, if that phrase is in the search term, so if somebody searches a good veterinarian near me, you will show up in that. And then you have an exact match. It has to be the exact phrase being searched. And so if you can find out which phrases are the ones that are money for you, right? Which ones are going to be converting, then those are who you choose, and you scale those up, hopefully. Because the ads that you run, you think of the ad spend, it's not an expense. It is an investment. You have to be creating a return on ad spend to make your money back, and you need to be tracking it. And it absolutely should provide a return on your investment. And hopefully, and I know that everybody is short-staffed right now, but if I said to you, hey, if you give me $5, you can get a new client, how many times would you do that? Hopefully you'd say as many times as I possibly could. And that's hopefully what the goal is. And I'm not saying you're going to get new clients for $5, but I'm just saying if you have your tracking and analytics and measurement set up so that you can tell how many clicks it takes to get a client, what your average cost for acquisition on clients are, and everything like that, it's going to be great. So that's kind of the play that I like right now is AdWords for attracting new clients, and then social for retaining, staying in front of, and just in general retargeting so that you're always staying in front of them. So let's talk about a few problems that happen. There are, across every campaign that you run, you're going to have micro conversions and macro conversions. So micro conversions are things like clicks, downloads, collect emails, we're not typically selling things, but generating new client forms where you get name, phone number, email, calls on your website, these small events that happen. So if you think about it, for example, somebody searches, they see your ad, they click on that ad, that's a micro conversion. Once they click on the ad, then they go to your website, they see the landing page, they then decide to give you a call. That's another micro conversion. They call you, they set an appointment. That is a macro conversion, right? So the end goal of the ad was to collect a new client and convert. So when we're looking at ads and things, we have to look at all of these micro conversions because these are the points where we have problems with the ads. And when those problems arise, there's ways to fix them. So instead of just scrapping your campaigns and saying, you know what, these aren't working, what we have to do is use different tools to figure out which spots aren't working. So the micro conversions that we're checking are your ads getting impressions. Once they get impressions, you get clicks. Once you get clicks, you get opt-ins. Once you get opt-ins, you email people. And you may get phone calls as well. But just like if your car was, all of a sudden it wasn't turning on, right? You wouldn't throw the car away. You'd say, well, is the battery working? Okay, the battery's working. Is the starter working? Okay, the starter's working. Is there gas? Okay, there's no gas. Let's put gas in the car and it'll start working. Same thing. So let's talk first about impressions. So it's important that your ads get seen, number one. So if you're not getting impressions, and this will happen, you'll set up an ad and all of a sudden it won't run. or it'll run very, very little, or you'll just have a really high, it's called a CPM, which is cost per mil, which the mil means 1,000. So it's the cost per 1,000 impressions. And usually what happens when you have very, very low impressions is that your targeting is far too specific. You've added too many layers. And so what you need to do is usually increase your audience size and adjust the bid. So when you are targeting a small audience, especially if you're trying to be really, really targeted, what happens is not only do you have to have all of these people be online and using the platform that you're using, but you also have to win the bid there. And so these people could be showing up for, like if you're on Facebook, for example, you're targeting a client list of customers for like Dental Month, for example. They are also being bombarded with ads from the refi people who are willing to spend way more than you are to get them to click on a refi ad, or the home insurance people, or their new car people, so it could be tons of reasons why you're not getting impressions. And so if you're not getting impressions, or if the impressions are just too expensive, chances are here you have added in too much layering. So it's time to broaden up the audience. And even though the audience may be, one thing that I see all the time is people are so kind of scared to show their ads to people who are not the exact people. They're like, well, what if I don't want them to see it if they're not actually, a past client, or I don't want them to see the ad twice, or like all kinds of weird objections come up. And the truth is that you want as many people to see the ad as possible who will take you up on the offer. And if you can't get the ad shown out there, it just is not going to work. So add more demographic to it to get more impressions. And obviously there's a point where that is a point of no return to you as an investment. So you're going to want to make sure and make it as targeted as possible so that you hit your goal as far as what would be a good cost per 1,000 views. And on Facebook right now, for most veterinary practices, I'd say that's between $9 and $12. But that's just kind of a side note. And that changes based on time of year and all kinds of things. Okay. The next thing, so once somebody sees it, then they need to click. And so there's, clicks to impressions are something that is definitely, it can be troubling. So if nobody's clicking on your site, or there's the other problem where too many people are clicking on the site. And so you might say, that sounds weird. Like having a high click-through rate sounds like a good thing. Well, it can be, but the problem is that usually when you have a higher click-through rate, typically your conversion rate goes down. And so there's a fine balance between, okay, I want to have a high conversion rate and I want to have a high click-through rate. And the way that you do that is you add specificity or you add curiosity, typically. So for example, if you said, like in an ad headline, this is one thing every pet owner needs, right? That's like, hey, what is this? I'm a pet owner. It's important. What is it? And then let's say, go to a landing page. You'll have a high click-through rate because people will say, okay, this is really, really important. But then the conversion rate, let's say you were doing a heartworm treatment. You're like, it's a heartworm treatment, surprise. Here's how much it costs, right? You're probably going to get a low conversion rate. You might get some people who say, yeah, that's right, I do need that. Versus if you created an ad that said, let's say it was the very specific type of medicine that you were going to be giving for heartworm, and the very specific producer of it, and the price, right? It's very specific. So if somebody clicks, they know exactly what they're getting. Not only do they know exactly what they're getting, they know the price, and they're probably ready to buy already. So you have the balance between curiosity and specificity. And if you want higher quality clicks too, you can add better ad language for benefits and things like that. You want to try and make it as in general cheap as possible for the click, but at the same time thinking about the conversion. So clicks and impressions are then connected. Once you have opt-ins, if you have a problem with getting opt-ins, the ads are not relevant to the landing page. So it needs to be very specific. People need to understand why they're going from the ad to that landing page. And not only should they know what they're getting into, but they should have a really, really clear path on how to take you up on that offer, right? So is it enter your email to get this, and there's a box, and it's very, very simple, or give us a call by pushing this button, or is it send us a text by pushing this button? It needs to be super clear, super simple, and as frictionless as possible. And the ads need to match the landing pages. After that, you have email follow-up if you are using email. If your emails are not converting for you, chances are, if you're not getting open rates, if you're not getting people clicking and taking you up on that, on the offers that you're sending out, and hopefully you're sending out offers. Number one, are you sending out offers? You should be, for sure. If you're not, what are the offers that you can send that are actually going to help to change people's lives? So what are the pain points that you're going to solve? And how can you get people to that goal of, being carefree about their dog, not feeling guilty that they haven't taken their dog for dentals, feeling guilty that every time they see their dog eat, it's painful for them, all kinds of things, right? How can you solve the problems that your clients are having that they actually want solved, versus just saying, hey, we're doing a heartworm month, right? So how can you alleviate worry that your dog's going to catch heartworm? And so increasing specificity for benefits, finding out what they actually want, and then following up and providing that for them is going to really, really help. So that's kind of how I troubleshoot ads across micro conversions and macro conversions. Now, the next thing that I think are kind of in general important are making sure that you are, if possible, decreasing your cost and increasing your return on investment. There's two ways to do that, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But before, when I have an ad that's running, when do I stop the ad? Typically, for a practice, if we're willing to do, a cost per lead of, let's say, $10, if our cost per lead goes up to $20, I will stop the ad. So if I go double our cost per action, or and one thing too that I'll do is I won't touch the ads for at least 24 hours unless I see that it's running and we have a solid budget and we're running way out of budget, where it's not even getting clicks, it's not getting impressions, our cost per 1,000 views are way out of line. I will sometimes restart those ads. But I think that it's important to let the different algorithms that Facebook and Google have get a chance to kind of even out and get standardized before you make that decision. So there's two different ways to increase your return on investment. You can increase the conversions, which is done through optimization, or you can increase the return on investment by reducing the cost. So you can optimize your campaigns. There's a few things that you can do to optimize campaigns. You can make sure that you're split testing one thing at a time to be constantly driving down the price, confirming what's working and what's not working. And so, optimizing, if you can increase your click-through rate and get the same cost per impressions, you're going to have a lower cost ad. If you can find out which demographics are performing the best for you, you can target only those people and exclude people that are not converters for you. There's all kinds of things that you can do, but whatever you can do to decrease the cost will help you to increase your return on investment. And then you can increase your conversion. So making it super simple, making sure your page loads ridiculously fast, making sure your website's up to date, making sure everything is clickable, mobile responsive. I think that really, really helps. So I know that we covered a lot today. It was meant to be just kind of general to help you think about what you're doing in your ads, how often you should be kind of thinking about them. I think you should think about them at least weekly, and then how to hopefully improve them. So I hope this was helpful. If you ever have any questions, if you ever have any comments, if you need help with anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always happy to help. You can hit me up at the Facebook group at veterinarymarketingnerds.com/groups/the veterinary marketing nerds. And again, if you could do me a huge favor, leave an honest review in iTunes or Google Play. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you on next week's episode.